especially if you're pregnant, then you need to prioritize yourself, prioritize your pregnancy, prioritize your life, really. So you have to take it slowly and pace yourself. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Opayemi. I'm a research nurse, a mom to a wonderful toddler. Of course, I'm a recent graduate, so I actually just completed my master's degree in nursing. So whilst I was working full-time, I've always been working full-time anyways, but whilst doing that, I also enrolled for a master's degree. And along the line, like in my second year, I found out I was pregnant for our son, and I also became a mom, whilst working full-time, and of course running a master's degree program. So yeah, if you're considering furthering your education whilst juggling multiple responsibilities, then this video is for you, because in today's video I'll be sharing with you how I was able to balance all of that. Obviously there was no balance, but I was able to juggle all of those responsibilities, and yeah, all the tips and strategies that helped me, and how I could eventually graduate, because it was hard and it was challenging. Anyways, let's dive into today's video. So the first thing I would mention to you guys is to do your research and find the best program for you. I know a lot of people want to further their education, a lot of people want to do postgraduate courses, but it's best to find something that is suitable for you and also suitable for your goals, something that matches your goals, your dreams, and what and who you eventually want to become, if that makes sense. So I had several options, and when I was doing my research, I remember at some point I was even considering doing a master's degree in medical informatics or nursing informatics, just to go into tech. I also thought about healthcare management, I thought about business administration. I had several options in mind. I thought about project management, because even as a nurse you can be a project manager. So I also thought about the advanced clinical practitioner course, which is a master's degree program as well. It's a 3-year program. So I actually thought about several things, but when I considered my goals, my aspirations, and of course my life at that point, because I was also trying for a baby, and we're actually praying to God to have a child. Obviously we suffered infertility and all of that, but that's not the main point of this video. So we knew that at some point God was going to answer our prayers anyways. So finding the right masters for me at that point was very, very crucial. I knew that I wasn't going to enroll for a full-time masters that would require me to be in school every day, because I was working full-time, and also because my masters was not funded by my employer at that time anyways. Towards the end it was funded, but at the beginning it wasn't funded, because I did not know it could be funded. I thought everything was public funds, and because when you're on tier 2 visa, work visa, you're actually not entitled to the public fund. So I thought it was public funds. So for you guys watching me, just know that the NHS has they have a budget for career development or progression, yeah, whatever, professional development. So the NHS has that budget for you. They want you to study, they want you to learn. So it is not part of public funds. So if you are someone like me who loves to learn, who loves to advance their career, really, if you love career development, if you love studying, really, then you should go for it and apply to your employer to actually foot the bill, so they will fund you. So at first, because it was self-funded, or it was going to be self-funded, I actually knew that I wasn't going to do a full-time master's where I would have to be in school every day, because I was working full-time. And the main reason why I'm in the UK in the first instance is because of my job, because I'm on a work visa. So so that was so I needed to find the right course for me, the right program for me that would suit my full-time job, of course, because studying too was a thing. I also did not want a program where I would have to do lots of placements, because I would need time for that as well, and I wasn't ready to use my annual leave for those placements. So I did lots of research. I would have actually loved to go for the advanced clinical practitioner course, but it will require lots of placements, and because it wasn't funded by my employer, it wasn't a choice at that point. It wasn't an option at that point. And because at the end of the day, my goal was also at that time was to eventually go into an academic career, an academic nursing career. So I thought, oh, an MSc in nursing would just be the best option at that time. And I think it is still the best option for me at that time. So yeah, do your research and find what's right for you. The next one is to plan financially, and on this I think I've actually touched on this earlier. Like, I planned to self-fund myself, so I had money saved to fund myself, and I did actually for most part until I changed trust. And even when I changed my trust, like when I moved to another NHS, I still did not know that the NHS could like sponsor me, like my employer could sponsor me, until I moved into research. So when I got this research job and I started talking to people, and then I realized that my employer like funds a lot of people to go for masters, even for PhD, and I never knew all of that. So it was because of the new information that I got, and then I approached my employer. At that point I was just about writing my dissertation, so they said, you know what, we can't fund your past modules because you've already paid for those modules, you've actually completed those modules, but your future modules, we will fund that. But the only future module I had at that point was just my dissertation, so they paid for my dissertation. Really, that was the only module that they could pay for, because that was the only module I had left. So before the start of my master's degree, I had planned myself financially, obviously, because as a married person, you also need to plan yourself, especially if you're also trying for a baby. So we also knew that a baby could come into the mix at some point. So I had like half of my school fees, if not like half of it already even saved before I started the program. So plan yourself financially, and of course, if your employer will be sponsoring you, then that's okay. You really do not need to plan anything financially. But again, even if your employer will be sponsoring you, like for my NHS, even though they only sponsored my dissertation module, I still had to like fill some forms saying I cannot leave the trust, I cannot leave the NHS. So I could change my trust, but I cannot leave like the NHS in total for the next 1 year, and that's okay by me. I don't have any intention of leaving the NHS. I really love the NHS, so if I will be leaving the NHS, it probably means I'm leaving the UK, really, because I really love working in the NHS. So just plan yourself and just know what to write for your purse, for your pocket, for your bank account. So now let's talk about balancing study and work, but because I think that this is like the toughest part of it all, and this was the point that I found really challenging. And to be honest, at the start of my master's degree, I really had like a planned out schedule. Like, I was very good on scheduling work, and of course scheduling my study time. I was able to like block out my calendar. But I think because I was also signed up with an agency at that time, so besides my normal job, like my full-time 37.5-hour job, I was also doing the agency on the side in London, private hospitals in London. So for my 2 days off in a week, my 3 days off in a week, actually, I was working 4 days in theaters. For those 3 days, 2 out of those days I would do them as an agency nurse in London. So I pretty much had like 1 day to myself, and that 1 day I would want to like film videos for YouTube, because at that time I was very consistent on YouTube as well. So it was really hard for me to find like a rhythm that really worked for me. But later I found one, and it was like studying at night. So I would watch all my lectures, everything that needed to be watched, anything that needed to be read, I would do them overnight. So I created a 3-hour schedule for myself every day. And because it was also part of like what we're told even at the start of the masters, that you need at least 20 hours of study time per week. And I realized that anytime I studied for less than 20 hours in a week, I was less productive. As regards my school work, I was not really productive. So I carved out an arrangement such that I would study between 10 o'clock at night to like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was doing that for like 5 or 6 days a week, and that really worked for me. Obviously I was overwhelmed, but that was okay because there was no baby. I wasn't even pregnant. But the moment I got pregnant was when it was really worse. But I think at that time I couldn't like do 4 hours of study, so it just meant that I was pretty much like studying every time. Like, I could pick up say an article, a journal, and start just start scribbling things down as thoughts came to my head. So I wasn't like able to like sit for 4 hours and study. I was doing maybe 30 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes there, but it was really overwhelming at that point. But again, just creating a study schedule would really make a lot of difference if you're a mom or a dad and you're working full-time and you have other responsibilities. Really consider having like a routine in place that would actually help you. So next thing I will talk about is communicating with your employer. So even though at that time the trust I was working at that time wasn't sponsoring me. I was still self-funding myself, but my colleagues knew I was doing a master's degree. Even my line manager knew. So I would say communicate with your manager just so they know that you have a program. Obviously, if it is not funded by your employer, you would not get like study time or study days. You wouldn't get that. You still have to study in your spare time. So I still had to study in my spare time, but the fact that they knew that I was doing a program was very helpful, because there were times like in between procedures. Don't forget, I used to be a theater nurse, so in between procedures that there was nothing to do, or we're setting up for a procedure, I could actually have my iPad just at the background, glancing through an article, glancing through an assignment, say my 15 minutes break, I could quickly watch a lecture. So they were not, obviously it wasn't affecting my work. I was still very productive at work. But for instance, if you find me with an iPad in theaters, they were not wondering why I had an iPad with me, because they knew I was doing a course. And there were times I would stay back in theaters to even do my assignments, so they kind of knew. And so it wasn't awkward. Like for instance, if I was supposed to leave at 6 and then they see me in the back office on the computer typing my essay, it wouldn't be awkward, because they already knew I was doing a course. So it was very, very helpful. And even when I moved to my new trust, despite the fact that I was they sponsored my dissertation module, but I wasn't given study days because I was doing it in my spare time. But they were still very considerate. Like there were times I would stay back after work in our office, and so it wasn't strange even when people found me, say I'd closed at 5 and someone finds me say at 7 o'clock in the hospital. They just knew that I was either in the library. I would always go to the library to study, to do my dissertation, or I could stay back in our office upstairs and do my dissertation. So just letting your manager know, your colleagues really know, would also help you, and they would also be more considerate towards you, really, especially when it comes to like planning the rota. If you do like a shift kind of job, they will help you in such a way that they will just be much more considerate when they know that you're running a program, as against when they don't even have a clue that you're actually running the postgraduate program. Next is actually prioritizing your tasks. So for me, this was actually like very, very important. I had to like do the important things first before the less important things. So because I was self-funding and a lot of my money was going into that, I knew that my master's degree was like the most important thing really after my work, because the reason why I'm in the UK is because of my work. Like without my work I wouldn't have the visa. So I kind of prioritized my life, like what comes first, obviously God and family, but afterwards what comes next. I knew it was my job, because my job is like the reason why I'm in the UK. It's not like I was a citizen at that time. So I knew that was very essential. And then after my work came school, so I could like prioritize that. And then I knew that school came before YouTube or content creation, so that also really helped me. So I knew that for anything I'll be doing, content creation will be last and school would always come before that. So prioritizing really, really like helped me to realize what was much more important to me part time. For instance, it meant that during my break I had to like read at least an article or a journal. Like it was the barest minimum I could do during my lunch break at work. I knew that during my lunch break I could not be found flipping through Instagram or not being serious really. So, and then it also meant that I was maximizing every of my time. Like every little time I had, I was whipping out my iPad trying to start writing like at least a paragraph of a paragraph for my essay. It just meant that everything was blocked out and there was actually no time to like faff around. So prioritizing would really, really help you get the job done. So prioritizing would help you get the job done, and of course getting the job done as fast as possible. Let's go to the pregnancy and motherhood bit, because like I mentioned, I got pregnant in the second year, and that was like the toughest part of the whole journey for me. So I would say if you're like presently pregnant and you're running a master's degree, or you're even a mom now, I know that it is very important for you to complete the course or complete the program, but this is where prioritization also comes into play. I realized that my pregnancy was more important than the master's degree. Like the master's degree was not going to like fetch me money anyways. It was actually for personal development and for professional development. It wasn't as if there was one money waiting for me at the end of the program. So I knew that my pregnancy was like priority. So again, I had to readjust my priorities when I realized I was pregnant. So I had to like put myself first. And even when I was pregnant, I even put myself before work, meaning that my health was very, very important before any other thing. So at this phase, especially if you're pregnant, then you need to prioritize yourself, prioritize your pregnancy, and prioritize your life, really. So you have to take it slowly and pace yourself. So I started pacing myself, so as against having to like sit down for 4 hours to study, 5 hours at the stretch. There are weekends that I would be sat for like 5 hours writing essays, or the whole day. Sometimes I'll block out 2 days writing essays. I had to stop that, and I started pacing myself, like pacing. So at the start of a module, I would have started writing the essay, because a module would take 8 weeks, and you would write an essay at the end of a module. So I already knew that in 8 weeks time I'll be submitting an essay. I will start writing the essay from day one of that module. So it meant I had 8 weeks to write an essay, as against having to wait till the last bit, say like the 7th week or the 6th week, before starting to write the essay. So I had to pace myself, and that really helped. So another thing you could do now that you're pregnant, for instance, or if you're a new mom, which was my case, I was pregnant and I was also a new mom, is also to take a break if you need to. So I took 2 breaks during my master's degree. If anyone had told me that I wouldn't like complete the program in 2 years, I would have said no, because it was supposed to be a 2-year program, but eventually became a 3-year program for me. But I'm actually happy that I took those breaks, because they were needed. I was so ill and unwell that I couldn't even go to work. I suffered from hyperemesis. I was always vomiting. It was so bad. So there was even no way I could study. Like, if you can't work, how can you even study? So there was no way, and I was very honest with myself. So I took the first break in my first trimester because I just could not cope, and I had to take another break towards the end of my pregnancy again, because I just could not cope, really. But I returned back like as soon as I had my baby. So I had my baby in September. By October I was back to school again. So take necessary breaks when you need to, especially if you're not like doing like a full-time program. If it's part-time or even online or even blended, you can actually like you're able to like take breaks when need be. Okay, the next thing I'll talk about is using support systems, and this really helped. So I remember I just got an email randomly from one of our instructors saying they want to pair us up in the class, like just to help us with knowing each other better, and also to get like a lot of support from each other. And that really helped, because now they paired us, and I had someone that I could talk to, share my struggles with, do ask for clarity as regards essays and all of that. And at some point I think I even had to like seek professional help about how to like write essays faster, especially about critical thinking. I was struggling with critical thinking, obviously because of brain fog with pregnancy, but I was really struggling with critical thinking, and the feedback I'd always get was that I was too descriptive. I was always describing, I was not analyzing critically and all of that. So I even had to like seek professional help just to teach me how to think critically, and that helped a bit, obviously. But it was later I realized that was just actually my pregnancy that was taking a toll on me. But it did help, to be honest. It really did help. So if you need to seek professional help, then do. If you need support systems to help, please do. There were times that I would be reading an article or a journal, and I would just ask for my husband's inputs, like, what do you think about this journal? How would you argue your case about this particular topic? And we just discuss it, and that really helped. So if you have a support system, maximize them. Use your friends, use a family member for they could study with you if they can, or if they're like academically inclined, they wouldn't mind studying with you and all of that. So that also helped me. So if you now have a baby, like, so towards the end of my program, I'd given birth to my child. So, and this will bring me to the next point, which is incorporate your baby into your schedule. Pardon me if I fluctuate between saying schedule and schedule. Trust me guys, a lot of times I say both, like schedule. So just pardon me. I just like saying both, or I think it's just something that just comes into my mouth, like I say it by reflex, so pardon me. Anyway, so I was saying that incorporate your child into your schedule your schedule, because that would help. So I remember that as soon as my son was like taking a nap, at that time, as soon as I drop him in his cot, like if he's taking a nap, I would quickly, you need to see how I would quickly like whip out my computer and start typing. So that was really like, I learned how to like quickly type up like a page when he was sleeping. Like sometimes I would even do 2 pages when he was taking a nap. So that was really good. Another thing I did, which was extremely stressful, especially during the early months, if you know how it is when your child is like a month, 2 months, when they're still like a baby, very young, with a sleepless night. I knew I wasn't sleeping well anyways, like there was no sleep, like there's no sleep for the weekend. So there was no sleep anyways, because I was exclusively breastfeeding and all of that, so I knew there was no sleep. So overnight, like when baby doesn't sleep, I would actually not sleep as well. And so as I'm breastfeeding, I'm typing or I'm reading an article. So I used to like even print out an art. Sometimes I'll print out some of those journals. Sometimes I'll read them from my iPad. So I was just incorporating my study life with mom life, really. And that was really helpful. So don't just like say I will leave study and attend to the baby, because when the baby is really young, you really don't have any time. So just incorporate all of them together and just kind of merge everything together and just see how it works. Really, there were times I would be asleep at night and I wouldn't sleep, like all night I'll be writing my assignments and typing. So yeah, you can actually do that, and I believe that would help. So the next thing I will talk about is actually staying organized, really, because you also need to stay organized and you need to stay motivated. So by the end of the second year, I was already done, like in my head, like mentally I was done. I was exhausted mentally. I was like, when will this like program actually end? Like I was already tired. I was so tired. I was discouraged. I was just tired. I was exhausted, and I just wanted the program to end, really. So I remember that I had to like start asking myself, what was the initial reason why you started the program? So I had to remind myself of the reason why I enrolled for the program, in the first instance. So you have to like remind yourself now, like, why did you enroll in this program? So that became a motivation for me to keep carrying on. Another thing that motivated me to just continue and get the job done was I now started to do a countdown. So I would actually advise you to do this when you get to that point that you're over the program. You're like, I'm just done, because of obviously parenting and all of that. Start doing a countdown. So I started marking a countdown. Like I'll be like 11 months to go, 10 months to go, 9 months ago, 8 months ago, 7 months ago, 6 months ago, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So doing that countdown really helped me. So try that, so that you stay motivated and then have something that you're looking forward to. So for every milestone, like when I submit an assignment, I'm like, I would treat myself to something, even if it was unhealthy. For someone like living with endometriosis, like dairy is very bad for me. But there were times that as soon as I submitted my assignment, I would go buy myself ice cream. Like I couldn't even be bothered. Do you get? Like, so celebrate every milestone. When you submit an assignment, when you turn in an assignment or an essay, celebrate yourself, buy yourself something, no matter how small it is. So I was always doing that. I was always celebrating my small wins. I remember so because I was at some point I was having like borderline grades and I wasn't really happy, and I remember having moved for like 50 something and all of that, and at some point I had 68, like it jumped from like 50 to 68 while I was breastfeeding my child, all of during this chaotic period of my life. You needed to see how much I celebrated that score of 68. It wasn't even a distinction, but I felt so proud of myself that I could do this with all the sleepless nights, with a child with colic at that point. So what I'm saying is, for every milestone, celebrate yourself. Stay organized, obviously. Have set goals, like clear goals. Know that you're finishing this by, like, as soon as I had my baby, I knew that I was going to finish this by this summer. Really, like from last year, I already knew I was going to finish it this summer, and I was not going to let anything stop me from finishing it. I knew that the pregnancy bit, which was the toughest part, was over. So I needed, even though I was working full time and it was tiring. And another thing about using the not services, but using your support systems, is that because at that time my mom was here, and it was very good for me when she was here. I did not have to rush back home. So when I leave work at 5, I would just head over to the library, and I'll be in the library from 5 to like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at times. I would start packing my bags in the library from like 8:30, 9 o'clock ish. Yes, so I wouldn't get home sometimes until 9:30, sometimes even 10 p.m. at night, and then I have to set out the following morning again. So, but it was good for me because I needed to maximize that time that my mom was here. So I would say that if you have any support system, maximize their stay whilst they are here. Let them help you with your child, and then you get your goals going, like get the work done. So that was what I did for the entire, because my mom was here for like 4 months. For those 4 months, I was back to back with my dissertation, like from work to the library, and I wouldn't come home until late at night. So it was very good for me. So that's, I just needed to like mention that about support systems. And like I said, just set clear goals. Know that you are going to finish this at so date, and start doing the countdown. The countdown really helped me. I would talk about self-care, because this is very important, and I had to leave it to the bottom bit. I had to leave it to the last parts of this video. Self-care is very essential. So when I was in my dissertation, because of how overwhelming it was, and because I was getting home late every day, for my weekends, I was spending my weekends with my family without doing any schoolwork. So I knew that schoolwork was not for weekends, and that was something I had to do, like no schoolwork during weekends. And that was really, really good for me, and it was also good for my mental health. It also meant that I could spend time with my child, undivided time or undivided attention with my child, which was very, very key for me. It also meant that like we could go out on weekends without me having to say, oh, I need to write an essay, I need to study. So that was really, really good for me. I needed to block out my weekends. I could spend that time with my family, but that also meant that I needed to do much more during the week. So during the week, I was grinding hard, yeah, because I needed to have my weekends to myself and to my family. So that's really, really key. Self-care is very essential. I used to go for massages, guys. I wish there could be like a brain massage so that when you're mentally stressed, you can actually just have like a brain massage, because I love having body massages, like physical massages, but I just wish there was a form of massage for the brain as well. So yeah, self-care is very, very essential for you to like remain sane, to maintain your sanity all through, you know, the duration of the program. You need to be very big on your self-care. So yeah, balancing work, like full-time job, motherhood, pregnancy, whatever, and of course with studying full-time is not a small feat. It is not a small feat. It is a big deal. So but I believe strongly that with so much determination and with planning as well, and with creativity, it is something doable. It is something you could do. So that's it for today's video, guys. I really do hope you found this very helpful and of course useful. But you need to know that balancing full-time work with a master's degree, as the case may be, it could be a PhD, it could be a postgraduate course, it could be any form of education, really. Balancing that and then having a child or being a mom or a dad is not a small feat. It is a big deal. But with determination and of course using the right strategies, it is definitely achievable. I really want you to know that it is achievable. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. If you're yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and of course hit the notification bell for more content, and I would see you in another video. Bye. So bye, guys.